news. Senator Orrin Hatch just found a pile of money. Should we all start splitting it up? Well, as you might guess, there is a catch. Senator Hatch went on the record. Senator, nice to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
All right, Senator, you have written the Congressional Budget Office asking about tort reform, and you've gotten an answer back. What did you ask them, and what did you learn?
Well, I personally believe that unnecessary defensive medicine, doctors ordering many more tests and medical device things than they should, that they need to. And they all admit that they do that because they want to protect themselves from future litigation. The director originally said, I think, that it only cost us about $5 to $10 billion over 10 years. Well, I knew that wasn't true, so I went over it with him and said, look, here are the reasons why, because I used to be a medical liability defense lawyer. And I said, here are the reasons why it's cost more. So he did honestly revamp his figures, and he figures that at least $41 to $54 billion over 10 years is really lost because of unnecessary defensive medicine. That would be enough to take care of some very important people who don't have health insurance now. But I believe it's much higher than that. I said 25 years ago it's at least $300 billion a year. And I believe it's in that neighborhood. Now that doesn't mean we shouldn't have the right to litigate over true negligence. But we've got to find some way of resolving that so that we get rid of the frivolous cases. And when I was trying these cases, I estimated about 90% of them were frivolous. And why were they brought? Because they would get the defense costs of somewhere between $50,000 and $200,000. And if you get the defense costs as an attorney, you can do all right as long as they're that high.
All right. The letter from the Congressional Budget Office with this number is written to you, sir. Have you distributed it to other members of the Finance Committee? Do they know about this, the $41 billion estimate, or $41 billion plus?
It's gotten around. They're fully aware of it. And I've been saying this for a long time. So this just does reconfirm what I've been saying. Look, I think I've seen the wrong eye taken out, the wrong leg taken off, the wrong kidney taken out. I've seen some very gross negligence, and I think there should be compensation for that. So I'm not one of those who's saying we ought to shut down the lawyers. No, I don't think that's necessary, but I think we need to get some system, some sort of semblance of reason into this, into the tort reform area.
Is there any tort reform in the current Senate finance bill, at least the one with we've just been spending a lot of time talking about? Do they talk about tort reform in that bill?
There's a nice sense of the Senate statement.
There's nothing in it, but there's no provision?
No provision at all. And why is that? Because Democrats, one of their highest forms of financial support comes from the personal injury lawyers in this country. Now, I've done that type of work. I understand it. And I don't blame lawyers for wanting to represent people, but I've got to say a lot of those cases are frivolous, brought for the defense costs. And insurance companies will pay those defense costs rather than take a chance of a runaway jury, especially in a case that doesn't look very good. But I was talking to one of the leading heart specialists, open heart surgeons, just a couple weeks ago. And he said, you're right on this. He said, we all prescribe a lot more than we have to just to protect us so that our history of the patient will contain everything possible that could possibly occur. And he said, we do it just to protect ourselves, because if we go to court, we want to be able to show that we did everything possible, even beyond the standards of the community, to be able to take care of these people.
All right. Well, can't you take your $41 billion estimate in this letter from...
$54 billion.
Well, $54 billion, whatever the estimate, to Senator Baucus and say, Senator Baucus, you're the chairman, and I've got this number, $41 to $54 billion. I mean, can't you pull him aside and say, do you want to take a look at this again in the Senate finance bill?
Well, I don't blame Senator Baucus for not doing anything, but I did go to him and I explained it to him, and I explained it to Dr. Elmendorf, who said, I do need to revamp on that. And I think he's still way too low.
What does Senator Baucus say to you when you say, look, Senator, there's $41 to $54 billion that we sort of scrape together and try to find the cash to pay for this new system? What does he say to you? Tough luck, Senator Hatch? Or maybe he calls you by your first name, I don't know. But does he say tough?
Well, he'd never say that to me, but the fact is that he knows he can't do anything about it. The Democrats just aren't going to do anything about it. And look, because of that, sooner or later, someday, really good lawyers who are really bringing these cases for the right reasons, in other words, they're legitimate cases, they're going to be shut out, because one of these days the American people are going to rise up and say, we've had enough of it. We're paying for a lot of stuff we shouldn't have to pay for, and the reason insurance premiums are going up so high is partly because of this. And then it'll be something, it'll be a real bad situation, a bad interpretation, a bad approach to it. Now, I think we can resolve this problem, but I don't see one Democrat who's willing to stand up on it.
Here's the thing that's sort of distressing as a taxpayer, at least to me, is that when you tell me that the Democrats won't even look at it, and I'm a trial lawyer, I mean, but if the Democrats won't even look at it because the trial lawyers are the biggest donators, or whether it's the insurance industry for another group or for another party, or whether it's the doctors or whatever, as a taxpayer voter, I'm thinking, is everybody really for sale up here?
No, I don't think it's that.
Then why don't they look at it?
Well, because they don't want to offend that particular special constituency.
But that's bad. I mean, if we're trying to find the money to pay for this, if we're trying to find the money to pay for this, and if the Democrats say yes, we should look at tort reform, and if you're saying it's 41 to 54 billion dollars, you say it's even more.
Well, it's a lot more.
And the taxpayers are looking at a possible. Speaker Pelosi even mentioned the possibility that we might get a value-added tax. You know, if we can sort of pick up some money here that to offset some money we have to pay later. It's hard for me to understand why Senator Box wouldn't say, hey, good job, let's look at these numbers.
Well, he would say that to me, but then he knows that he doesn't have the votes and the ability to change it. Look, I've been trying to change this for years. I know that I'm right on this. I do not believe that we should pass something that basically stops all lawsuits, because there are some legitimate ones. But there are a lot that aren't legitimate, or just brought to get the defense costs, which runs up the insurance and the cost of health care for everybody. And I think anybody with brains, if they look at it, will say, yeah, that's right. But we've never been able to make any headway on tort reform with regard to the Democrats. Now, I might add there are a number of Republicans who are the same way. They'll vote for the personal injury lawyers over what really reality is. Now, look, I'm a personal injury lawyer, too. I don't want to hurt any of their businesses that are legitimate, but some of this is not legitimate. A lot of it is very costly to society, and we've got to quit playing those games and do what is in the best interest of bringing about a transformational change in health care that will save taxpayers some money.
Senator, thank you, sir.
Nice to be with you.